Javier and the sickly Amelia sat quietly in the back seat of his limo, making their way back to the villa. She wore a mask and watched the scenery go by outside while the cool AC blew on her face. Meanwhile, Javier's attention was glued to his phone as he scrolled through emails. But every so often, he handed her a fresh water bottle and sternly reminded her to hydrate. The silence stretched for the entire ride back, and they didn't speak until the car pulled up in front of the villa. Javier ordered his staff to stay in the car, not wanting to risk their health by putting them in proximity with Amelia. He then instructed Dr. Marquez's medical team. "I'll carry her to the pool house, and you can examine and care for her there. It's separate from the rest of the residents, so she can quarantine there comfortably while we wait for her test results to come back." As he carried her to the pool house, Amelia enjoyed the feel of the autumn breeze against her feverish skin. Just then, Javier whispered in her ear, "Look up. You have an admirer." Javier pointed to a window where Max stood waving his small hand emphatically from his bedroom. A tender ache filled Amelia's chest as she waved back. Javier reassured her. "He's fine. I had him examined and I explained that you have a little flu, so you're going to spend a few days apart while you're contagious." "Thank you," she said softly. "It's my turn to play nurse now. Do you think I'll make a nice nurse or a mean one?" The prince spoke with a smirk. "Definitely mean," Amelia shot back without hesitation, and he chuckled. In the pool house bedroom, Amelia lay in bed, now attached to an IV. She was surrounded by Dr. Marquez's medical team, all protected with masks and gloves. Manuel completed his examination of her and reported, "Amelia, I reviewed the records from your visit to the hospital. We can't confirm anything definitive yet, but there are no signs of lung infection, so we'll proceed under the assumption that this is just a common flu." Amelia exhaled, relieved by this possibility. "Thank you, doctor. I'm sorry for troubling you all so late," Amelia said, embarrassed for the fuss that was being made over her. "Nonsense. It's my duty. Plus, it wasn't you who troubled me so late. It was that pest over there." Manuel playfully pointed at Javier, who was across the room, getting his vitals checked. Amelia chuckled, enjoying the good doctor's company. Apart from her, it was rare to see someone who wasn't afraid of sassing the prince. Manuel looked at her with a meaningful smile. "I met Max this evening. You raised an exceptional boy. Very bright for his age." Just then, the doctor cleared his throat and leaned in, his voice low. "Javier told me the situation, and if it's not too late, may I point out that a doctor would make an excellent candidate to be Max's godfather?" He winked at Amelia, and her breath hitched, pleasantly surprised to learn that Javier confided in the doctor that Max is his son. "Manuel." Just then, they were interrupted by Javier's stern voice. "What's with the whispering? Are you gossiping over there?" Amelia gave the doctor a kind smile. "The doctor was just bragging about his godson. That's all." "Yeah, Javi, don't be such a grump," Manuel added, making Amelia snicker. "What a troublesome pair," Javier jeered with narrowed eyes. The doctor clapped his hands together and rose to his feet. "Well, I think I'm done here. Tonight the medical team will remain on standby. If you experience vomiting or any other symptoms, press this call button immediately. And have you eaten anything today?" Amelia shrugged. "I haven't had much of an appetite." Javier overheard this, and his face fell in disappointment. Before asking the doctor, "Can someone on your team make a menu of nutritious foods she should eat? I'll have it sent to the kitchen." Dr. Marquez nodded, but Amelia didn't want to be a bother. "I really can't eat." Still, Javier wasn't having it. "Then I'll feed you. I can be very enticing." Amelia rolled her eyes, knowing her protests would be futile with the domineering prince. Javier gave his friend a warm goodbye, and Dr. Marquez led his team out of the pool house. With everyone gone, the room fell silent, and Amelia looked up to find a steely Javier standing at the foot of her bed. Now that he knew she was safe and in stable condition, he had a bone to pick with her. He furrowed his brow and asked, "Where's your phone?" Amelia pointed to her purse, confused, and Javier retrieved it, confirming his suspicion. It had died. "Were you aware that your phone was dead?" She widened her eyes. In all the chaos and the drama of the day, she hadn't realized her phone was off. Javier glowered, upset. "You left the house, didn't tell anyone that you were deathly ill, or where you went, and no one could reach you all day. Do you know how infuriating that is? I was left to think you'd been abducted and were floating dead in the Everglades somewhere. Victor had to engage the Secret Intelligence Bureau just to find you." Javier exhaled in an attempt to get a grip on his frustration. His anger was palpable, yet his deep concern for her was impossible to miss. It filled her heart with a strange warmth, and tears welled up in her eyes. Over the last 6 years, any time she'd fallen sick, she had to rely on herself. She'd grown fiercely independent and wasn't used to having anyone around to notice or care if she was ill. "Sorry, I didn't want to bother you or worry anyone." Her voice trembled. His brow softened, and he shook his head. "Next time, bother me." He then plopped a heavy shopping bag down on her lap. "Charge your phone, and please keep it that way," he said firmly before walking to the door. "Get some rest. I'm going to see that the kitchen is working on dinner for you." "Thank you," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Once he was gone, she glanced curiously into the shopping bag he left with her. She instantly turned red with embarrassment when she saw that inside the bag were a dozen newly purchased phone chargers, charging docks, and external battery packs she could take on the go. Her face broke out in a silly grin, and she buried her red cheeks in her hands. Even in his most stubborn, domineering state, Javier had a way of making her feel cared for and safe. She opened the box to one of her new phone chargers and plugged it in. While waiting for her phone to boot back up, she drifted to sleep, only to be woken up by a call. She opened her groggy eyes, and when she reached for the device, the familiar name on the caller ID made her heart sink. It was Charles. Getting situated in the pool house and dealing with the medical team had kept her so busy that she almost forgot about the gut-wrenching news that she learned today. Sophie was going to have Charles's baby. This meant their engagement was serious, and their marriage was more inevitable than ever. After a moment, Amelia straightened her resolve and answered. "Ames?" Amelia's voice caught in her throat the second she heard him. "You shouldn't be calling me, Charles. If Sophie finds out—" "I know. I just couldn't sleep without knowing if you landed somewhere safe." Amelia took a deep breath. "I am safe." Worried she'd try to hang up, he continued. "Ames, I'm so sorry about how things went down today, that you learned about it like that. After I ran into you at the gala, Sophie got the news, and since then, everything has been such a mess." Pained, she quickly stopped him. "I can't talk about it, Charles. In fact, from now on, we shouldn't talk at all. I want to respect Sophie's wishes, and you should too." Charles's heart clenched. "Can you just tell me one thing, and then I won't bother you again?" Amelia sighed. "What is it?" He paused, then finally asked. "Are you at that prince's estate right now?" She hesitated briefly before answering. "Yes." Charles mustered up the courage to ask a question he wasn't sure he could handle the answer to. "I thought you were seeing Thomas. Are you and the prince in a relationship?" How could Amelia define what they had? Deep down, she was afraid to examine her entanglement with Javier. So she told Charles what she'd been telling herself. "Charles, the last thing I need in my life is to be in a relationship with Prince Calderon." A bitter smile crept onto her lips as she added, That will never happen. She squeezed her eyes shut, as if to burn that reminder into her mind. Unfortunately, she didn't know there was a third person listening to the last thing she said. Seconds ago, Javier had entered the pool house to tell her dinner was on the way, and stopped outside the bedroom when he heard her reject the idea of them being together. She was so absorbed in the call that she didn't see his tall frame make its way into the room. Javier's cold gaze lingered on her as she continued the conversation, oblivious to his presence. "But do you like him?" Charles asked. Wanting to shut down his suspicion, she blurted out a reply she didn't even believe. What's there to like, Charles? He's an insufferable egomaniac." A frigid voice suddenly interrupted and made her jump. "For a sick person, you have a lot of energy to flirt with your future brother-in-law." Startled, Amelia dropped the phone to the floor when she saw Javier by her bedside with an expression as cold as ice. When did you come in?" she stammered, her voice unsteady. "Why, feeling guilty about something you said?" Javier bent down and picked up her phone. Amelia's eyes fell in regret. Sorry, I didn't mean that." She really didn't mean it. She just wanted Charles to drop the subject. "Can I have my phone back?" "I haven't finished my call." Javier held on to it. "Why are you still talking to him? Are you looking for Sophie to give you a matching slap on the other cheek?" Amelia sighed in frustration. What do you want me to say, Javier? Why are you so obsessed with what I do with Charles? Are you jealous?
To find out what happens next, download the Pocket FM app in the next minute to get free access to all episodes of The Royal Accident for free.